Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the GM. Let's talk. Today's conversation will be about 5 Baltimore Ravens players who may not make this team. As training camp kicks off on tomorrow officially, when everybody should be in the building, vets and rookies, all contracts as it pertains to the rookies are signed, it is now time to turn our attention to who is going to make this roster. Not really in the context of position competition, right? But who's going to hang on to those last 4 or 5 spots on this roster? I believe that there is 5 guys to watch, 5 guys from last year's team who may not make this 2025 roster. So let's not delay. Let's get right to it. As we look at the offensive side of the ball, I think most of the positions for the top 22 are already set, leaving only about 3 positions to be decided on. I think who's going to be the starter at left guard, who's going to be the backup at left guard, and who's going to be the backup at right guard. I think all other positions are set. I think that Emory Jones will start the season on IR, leaving a competition between Ben Cleveland and Garrett Dellinger. And in truth, both of them could make this roster if they just one go to left, one go to right. But I want to square in on Ben Cleveland. It's not because I don't like Ben Cleveland. It's just the Baltimore Ravens have been literally waiting on Ben Cleveland for 4 seasons to break into the starting lineup, to show enough to compete for a starting job. And here we are at 2025, and there's been not much. I think that his offseason incident, which could result into some league suspension, could be another part of him not making this roster, but I think it's going to come down to him and Garrett Dellinger competing for that last offensive line spot. And I do believe that Garrett Dellinger has a good shot at uprooting Ben Cleveland. Well, why would I say that? Well, just like I started out, Ben Cleveland has been here for some time. And for whatever the reason, he keeps falling into John Harbaugh's doghouse, whether it's he's not a smart player when it comes to being on the field or being in the practices, whether he's not practicing hard enough, or whether his off-field issues were compromising his ability to perform. Whatever it was, Ben Cleveland did not have an ability to uproot Daniel Falele, who was a first-time starter last season, and Ben Cleveland was not able to really compete at that left guard position with Patrick McCarry and or Voorhees. And so I think that he is the most vulnerable as we enter training camp. I do hope that he's getting it together. I do hope he's working on his mind as well as his body. And I do hope he makes this roster, but I think that when you look at the offensive spots, 22 spots I believe are locked. And it's not that it's not more than 22 that's already locked in, but I think when you look at him and Garrett Dellinger, that would make 23, 24. And I think there's one spot for somebody who may surprise us. But I think Ben Cleveland is the most vulnerable, although we do need offensive line depth, specifically at the guard position. I think Ben Cleveland could be on the outside looking in if he does not show what he needs to show in this training camp. I think this could be his last go in a Baltimore Ravens uniform if he doesn't really produce in camp and also in the preseason, right? Because I do think there will be some players cut from other teams who will have an opportunity to make our roster after cut downs. So Ben Cleveland is my guy offensively. The other guys are going to be on the defensive side of the ball. So let's get to it. So I think when I look at the defense, I want to start in the trenches, and I want to start with a guy like a Broderick Washington. I know that the Baltimore Ravens are on a Super Bowl mission, right? We have all eyes on the prize, Destination Santa Clara. But I do think Broderick Washington is a guy who could be unseated for his spot. I think that with him getting paid a couple of seasons ago, he just has not shown that same fire, that same grit, that same grind after getting his money. There is some games indeed that you don't even recognize that Broderick Washington is even playing. And so I think that he could be on the outside looking in. Now, I know that with losing Michael Pierce, also not having brought back Brent Irvine up until this point, I think that gives him a favorable shot. But when you look at who is in the trenches with him, I think that you're definitely going to have Meta BK, you're going to have Travis Jones, you're going to have Jenkins. I think those three are locks. I also think Aeneas Peoples is going to be a lock. Now, that does give Broderick Washington in that fifth spot, because I do believe we keep 5 interior defensive linemen. But I do think if somebody comes in and they really grinding and they really gritty, I think that that could put him on the outside looking in, because I think the starting lineup could absolutely be Meta BK, Jenkins, and Travis Jones, and then Aeneas Peoples and a surprise upstart being the backups. I don't know if the Baltimore Ravens will have the gall to really make that kind of move, being on a Super Bowl journey and having a veteran in-house like a Broderick Washington, but I do believe he could be on the hot seat if he don't show some more oomph as this training camp gets underway. When we keep looking at the defense, we have to go into the interior of the defense, and we're going to look at the inside linebacker positions. I think that 2 positions are locked. I think Roquan Smith is locked. I think Teddy Buchanan is locked. Yes, I understand Trenton Simpson is there, but for whatever the reason, Trenton Simpson played his way off the field last season. I think if Buchanan can make some noise, I think if Jay Higgins, a UDFA, can make some noise, who was a really good college linebacker, and then you get brought in the vet in free agency, who was a special teams guy, I think that it could be a little bit questionable for Trenton Simpson. There is something about Clemson linebackers, when they get to the league, they seem to kind of fall short and not live up to full expectation. Now, Trent Simpson is absolutely a talented dude, fast, athletic, and he was supposed to be good in pass coverage. We just haven't seen him put it all together. Could this be the season? Yes. Could he come into camp ready to go? Yes. But I think he absolutely has to show it, because if he doesn't, this could be his last run in Baltimore. I really believe that. All right. So I said we had 5 guys. We got 2 more guys to go. Let's go outside and let's look at the edge rush position. I think the top 5 guys are locked. Okay. Those top 5 guys are Odafe, Kyle Van Noy, Tavius Robinson, and newly added Mike Green. I think Adisa Isaac is a lock, only because he was a 3rd round pick and he has not had a real opportunity to show what he can do. I think that makes David Ajabo on the outside looking in, because I do believe that the Baltimore Ravens still could add a vet to that room. And I think David Ajabo, being a 2nd round pick, we understood that he was not going to do anything in his first season, although he showed a flash or 2 at the end of his rookie season. He's shown a couple of flashes since that time, but not much more than a flash. I do not think that the Baltimore Ravens can wait any longer on David Ajabo to produce, to show, to bring all of that talent and potential to the table and put it to work. It's no more opportunity for just flashing. Now it's time to show what he is. And maybe what we've seen is what he is. Maybe he's just a 1 or 2 play a year type of dude. I don't know, but I know that it's time, because the guys ahead of him, a lot of them are proven. We understand that Mike Green, a 2nd round pick, is going to be an ascending player this season. And we know Adisa Isaac, being a young guy from last season, it's absolutely going to get an opportunity to show what he can do. And so I think David Ajabo is now or never for him. So I think he's a guy that we should keep our eye on. He's a guy I'm going to be looking for news on for sure. And then last but not least, let's jump to the secondary. Now, the secondary is a little bit tricky, right? And I think that although I said we have 5 guys, that 5 guys kind of melts down into one position, right? It kind of melts all the way down into one remaining safety spot. You got Malachi Starks, you got Kyle Hamilton, and then I think Sanusi Kane is going to be on this roster because of his special teams acumen. I think he's on this roster. So I think the competition then comes down to Bo Braid versus Jalen Armour-Davis. Why Bo Braid versus Jalen Armour-Davis? Because I think Jalen Armour-Davis is going to be displaced from the cornerback room. I think the Baltimore Ravens have every intention of keeping the young rookies that they drafted, and plus all the 4 guys at the top. At the top is super credible. You got Wiggins, Alexander, Hump, Awuzie, Bilal Coney, and then Longerbeam. I think those 6 may be locks. I do. I think that because Longerbeam does have a lot of talent, he's shifty, he's good in the slot. I think they're going to give him every opportunity to make this roster. Bilal Coney is a long corner with good speed. I absolutely think they're going to give him a shot to make this roster, which means JAD, a guy they've been waiting on for about 3 seasons now, has just been hurt over and over. I think he does have a lot of potential, but they've tried him out at safety. So I think that JAD is the guy to watch. I think if he can make the transition to safety, I think he's going to be better suited there, which then pushes Bo Braid to the practice squad. So I think the guy to watch really is JAD, but I think he misses this roster if he can't perform at safety. So those are the guys, man, I think we need to watch. You guys drop into the comment section who you think we need to watch, who may surprise us, who may ascend, what UDFA, if you got your eye on one who could make this roster. And we'll talk about it, man, as this week go on. I wanted to get in here before everybody actually get into the locker room and then hit the field. I want to get this out of the way. Coming up next, man, we're going to be talking about the entire league, and we're going to be talking about dark horses, sleepers, and division winners. We want to get this conversation off as training camp gets started. So listen, man, I appreciate you guys. If you've been here this long, hit like and subscribe. I'm your guy, Bulan J, and until next time, I'm out.